You know, hidden away inside your car's steering wheel, dashboard, seats, even up in the roofline, there's a device that does its entire job in less time than it takes you to blink. It's a 100-year-old idea that relies on some seriously split-second timing and, believe it or not, explosive chemistry to save your life. This is the incredible story of the airbag.
So just to put that number into perspective for you, the average blink of an eye, that takes about 100 to 400 milliseconds. So before you can even begin to react to a crisis, this thing has already detected it, deployed, and done its entire job. The answer, of course, is the modern airbag.
The basic physics of a car crash are just brutal. The car stops instantly, but your body doesn't. Your momentum keeps carrying you forward, right into all the hard surfaces inside the car. The airbag's purpose is actually pretty simple, but it's genius. It's a soft cushion that appears out of nowhere incredibly fast to slow your momentum down just enough to prevent a really catastrophic impact.
Now, you might think of airbags as a pretty modern invention, right? But the core concept is surprisingly old. The journey from just a simple idea to a working reality, well, that was a long and really challenging one.
So, get this. The idea first showed up in a patent filed by two dentists way back in 1919. Then, in the 1950s, an American naval engineer named John Hetrick, who was apparently inspired by his work with torpedoes, patented his own version. But here's the thing. They all hit the same wall. The huge problem was speed. Using compressed air to fill a bag was kind of like trying to put out a raging fire with a squirt gun. It just wasn't nearly fast enough to get there before you did.
And you can really see the challenge they were up against here. Hetrick's original design was this marvel of mechanical parts, relying on springs and bumper contacts to release compressed air. But when you put it next to the seamless, hidden tech we have today, it was pretty clear that a completely different approach was needed to make this thing actually work in the real world.
And the breakthrough, it didn't come from mechanics, it came from chemistry. See, to get the incredible speed they needed, engineers turned to a small, controlled explosion. This totally solved the speed problem, but it created a whole new set of challenges.
So here's how it all goes down in a fraction of a second. First, sensors detect a sudden, really severe slowdown. In under 15 milliseconds, they shoot a signal to the airbag control unit. This little computer then triggers an electrical charge, which ignites a chemical propellant. That reaction produces a massive, almost instant burst of harmless nitrogen gas that inflates the fabric bag. The whole sequence is just a masterpiece of high-speed engineering.
All right, let's watch this happen. At millisecond 0, the car makes contact. The sensors are already screaming that something has gone very wrong.
By millisecond 20, the chemical reaction has kicked off and the bag is literally erupting from the steering wheel at over 200 miles per hour. Your brain hasn't even processed the sound of the crash yet. It's incredible.
And boom, by millisecond 40, it is fully inflated. It's perfectly positioned right between you and the dashboard, ready to absorb that impact. The system has done its complete job before your body has even moved more than a few inches forward.
But this incredible power, it came with a downside. In the 1970s, some automakers actually marketed airbags as a replacement for seatbelts. This was a critical mistake. An airbag deploying against someone who isn't wearing a seatbelt, who could be sliding forward or out of position, could be incredibly dangerous. This led to a huge shift in thinking. Airbags aren't a substitute for seatbelts, they're designed to work with them as a supplemental restraint system, or SRS. And the problem was very real. Between 1990 and 2000 in the United States, those first-generation airbags were linked to 175 deaths. These were mostly children or smaller, unbelted adults who were just too close to the deploying bag. But, and this is so important, here's the other side of that number. In that exact same time frame, airbags were credited with saving 6,377 lives. So the device was overwhelmingly a net positive, but it was crystal clear that it needed to get smarter and much more refined. And that realization, it sparked a whole new wave of innovation. So instead of just one or two airbags in the front of the car, engineers started designing a whole family of them, with each one tailored to protect you from different kinds of collisions.
For instance, you've got curtain airbags. These drop down from the roofline and they create this protective cushion against the side windows during a side impact or, just as important, during a rollover crash.
Then you have side torso airbags. These actually deploy right from the side of the seat itself, specifically to protect your chest and your abdomen from the car door caving in.
You've also got knee airbags which deploy from the lower part of the dashboard to stop your legs from slamming into the hard structures underneath.
And we're even seeing really creative innovations like seatbelt airbags. These inflate right along the shoulder belt to spread the force of the restraint over a much larger area of your body, which helps reduce chest injuries.
And this evolution is far from over. Today, airbag technology is getting smarter, more adaptive, and is even starting to think about protecting people outside the car.
I mean, we're now seeing incredible things like pedestrian airbags that actually deploy on the outside of the vehicle to cushion an impact with a person. There are new tri-chamber designs that work like a catcher's mitt to cradle your head and reduce rotation. And maybe most important of all, we have smart systems that use sensors to figure out an occupant's size, their weight, and their position, and then they adjust the deployment force to match. That's a direct solution to the problems of the past.
Which kind of brings us to a final, really fascinating question. For 100 years, the airbag has been designed for people sitting upright, facing forward. But what about a future of self-driving cars where seats might recline, or maybe even face each other? How does this technology adapt? The next chapter for this 80-millisecond solution is really just beginning to be written.